moving on to our next topic at hand. Give me a second here. Boom. 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 Alrighty then. Yeah, watch that Blinks the Time Cat trailer. So, give me a second here. Where is it? Twitter.
You broke up a little bit, so I didn't quite hear you.
Oh, okay. Well,
never mind. I know what you said.
Yeah, just look at the game screen, or I mean the game screen, but look at the stream, and you know what I'm talking about. All right, so this was reported off of GeekWire.com, written by Thomas Wild. 3 years later, Microsoft's bet on Xbox One backward-compatible games is still paying off. It has been nearly 3 years since Microsoft announced plans to make older Xbox games playable on Xbox One. And it is one area in which the company has pulled ahead of its competition in the console wars is its backward capability.
Anthony, stop for a second. Stop. You were breaking up on my end so bad, and I'm afraid I'm breaking up on your end as well.
No, I'm fine. Like everything on my end, stream wise, they can hear me. Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm saying I can't. You're breaking up to me, and I think I might be breaking up on your end.
No, you sound fine. You sound fine on my end.
Why are you breaking up so bad then?
Okay.
Anyway, continue. I'm sorry. I'm just trying to hear what you're saying, and I can't quite catch it. So.
Right. Okay, that's fine. Here, I'll do this. I am breaking up. Oh, okay. I think I know why. Hang on a second. What is the? Wait, why can I? Hang on 1 second, guys. Hang on. Oh, no. Oh, I know why. Okay, we'll just do this. Okay. All right. So that should be better. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm pretty sure it was the video. Computer.
Yeah, you sound so much better since you turned the video off.
Yeah. Computer still potato machine in some points.
Yeah, gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Okay. So let me restart then. So, all right. So this is reported by Thomas Wild on GeekWire.com. 3 years later, Microsoft's bet on Xbox One backward-compatible games is still paying off. It has been nearly 3 years since Microsoft announced plans to make older Xbox games playable on Xbox One. And there's one area in which the company has pulled ahead of its competition in the console wars. It is the backward capability. You can't play your PS1, PS2, or PS3 disc on a PS4, and Nintendo Switch doesn't even have the disc drive. But Microsoft has slowly been adding Xbox One support for older games in the Xbox library since 2015, when the feature was introduced as part of the new Xbox Live experience. Since then, according to the company, backward compatibility has become one of the most popular features on Xbox One, with around 500 games currently supported. And this was definitely something that Phil Spencer championed during his time with Microsoft in that position. He actually got upgraded to a new position. So Microsoft has definitely been they have since, I would say, since Phil Spencer came in, like with the backward this idea of having the original Xbox games play on the Xbox One has done wonders for them. And they're in a position right now where they're kind of playing. I mean, they're not paying attention as far as like who's first, second, and third. But obviously, the reason for this, in my opinion, is the fact that they're in a position where like they're never going to catch up to Sony. So they're going to be very user friendly. Like they're going to do things like, oh, you get to play original Xbox games. Awesome. We're going to also do we have a Game Pass. You can play all the games, including the exclusives as well. So they're doing things that are making them goodwill for that company that may pay off later on in the next generation of consoles. And I will say this is, would have Microsoft done something like this if they were in the lead in the console wars or in the console headspace?
Well, I'll say this. Microsoft has always, in a way, and PlayStation as well, bitten off of the other guys. Do I think they would have done this if they were still in the lead? I want to say yes, but also probably not.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I say yes, Anthony, is because I feel like marketing off of people's nostalgia is a big thing right now.
Yes.
And I feel like they would have tried to figure out a way to market off of that, regardless that it's that they're not. Well, I mean, they're not really they're not behind. They're also not in the lead.
They're in the middle.
Like,
yeah, they're in a place where they're making a good amount of money. Just like, hey, we're gonna make this amount. We're not gonna obviously beat Sony, but
I'm saying the current sales between the consoles, all three consoles, are pretty neck and neck. Like, yeah, I think PlayStation still sold more units than Xbox overall, but I wouldn't say that means they're behind. Especially since like Microsoft has come out and said we're not competing.
Right.
Which
yeah.
I think is mostly bullshit, but whatever.
Yeah. Same here.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like to an extent this was a no-brainer situation. I'm really excited about an upcoming original Xbox backwards compatibility title.
Yeah, I think so.
One of my favorite games was Star Wars Republic Commando, and that's coming to it.
Yeah, I heard that's coming back. That's really cool. It's a really good game. People should play it.
Really good game. Yeah. Yeah, like I went and looked at how much those games cost too on there, and they're only like $10 a pop, if that.
Yeah. The cool thing.
So like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was saying, imagine having an old school Xbox and you want to buy one of these new games. Like Blinks the Time Cat's going to be kind of hard to find.
Yes.
And probably more than only $10, which it currently is on the Xbox One. So.
Yeah. I will say this is that one of the cool things about this is the fact that if you own the actual disc, you can put it into your Xbox One and it will scan it and it'll get the code to download the game onto your Xbox. And I think that's one of the coolest parts of all this, because like there had when we first were introduced about backward compatibility with some games with some of the consoles, PS3 and Xbox 360 to some degree, and now with Xbox One, there were like thousands of like, oh man, if I could put like a PS1 or PS2 game into my PlayStation 4, it'd be great, and it'd be played off of that, it'd be awesome. But it's not the case nowadays. Most of the case, if you want to play those old games, you have to buy them again through whatever digital service is out there. So seeing that Microsoft's taking this more user-friendly approach in terms of like, hey, we're going to allow you to not only play the games that you may remember back in the day, but if you have those games, you can actually put them in the console, download the code, and play it for free.
Could you? It's such a weird like time we live in, where that is almost a necessity for a console survival. It's backwards compatibility.
We had the discussion too, like we on this podcast, like is it really needed or not? Like, is it something that people who complained that wasn't part of the the PS4 or
I'm gonna reiterate myself, and I've talked about this before on the podcast. I'm just gonna say it again. Psychologically speaking, our generation grew up in a very like needing nostalgia, needing that escapism. We all be like, if you weren't an adult, you were an adult post 9/11, and post 9/11 world sucked. So you latched onto shit that was important to your youth. Now you take someone like, my co-host of All Queued Up, Josh, and he has nostalgia. He absolutely has nostalgia. But his nostalgia isn't nearly as strong as some of the kids who grew up in the late 80s and early 90s. His nostalgia is pretty... I would like to say that Josh's nostalgia hangs in the area that my sister's does, where they can live in this world without any problems. And when something nostalgic comes up, they're just like, ah, cool, neat. But when it comes to our generation, the mid to late 80s, early 90s babies, we have to have that nostalgia.
And it's done, and on top of that, like the nostalgia that the prime examples of last year was Crash Bandicoot.
What? Yeah. Well, what I'm getting at, Josh, is your nostalgia doesn't run your life as much.
Right.
Yeah, you're not. Yeah, the Crash Bandicoot thing, the upcoming Spyro thing, like, that's not what that's. Yeah, no, your nostalgia's strong, but it doesn't. It's not to the extent, Josh, that if something comes out that caters to your nostalgia, depending on what you enjoy as your hobby, you will go out of your way to get it.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a toy, yeah. If it's a TV show, you're going to watch it. But if it's a video game, you're just kind of like, I'll play it when I play it. Like, you're not like budgeting around your nostalgia. You budget what you need to budget, and then you do your nostalgia.
Yeah, I think...
At least that's what I've noticed. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But point I'm getting at, Anthony, the point I'm getting at is that that's why you say, do we need it? Yes, we do need nostalgia, because without nostalgia, we're stuck in the world that we live in. We're stuck in a time that we don't want to be in. You know, with political turmoil around every corner.
Yeah, good point.
It's rough to live in this world right now for everybody.
Yeah.
It's stressful. It sucks. So when all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, I can play a game that it came out when I was 12. Yeah, you're going to get into that.
Definitely. And I will say this too, on top of that, is if a nostalgic game is what a lot of people are wanting, or in terms of like how successful it has been, it's a no-brainer for a company to come out and say like, hey, you really like this old game that you played back in the day, well, bringing it back in HD version, and lo and behold, people buy the crap out of it. So can companies use this to market, whatever game they want for people to buy because it reminds them of the old game, or is the old game remade? Yes, that using that to their advantage. That's capitalism in some way. But definitely for Microsoft and for Xbox One, there's something that they have attached on to, and something that they are definitely striving and definitely very successful in this area right now within the consoles out there. So,
well, I mean, yeah, and as long as they're doing it to the extent of like people able to go into the system, buy the game, and play it individually from anything else, that's going to be key. Like, that's where PlayStation kind of failed. Like, you had to get a whole different service to play old school games on their system.
Yeah.
No, don't do that, because people won't buy that shit.
Yeah.
Make it convenient.
Agreed. All right, so moving on to our next topic at hand. Give me a second here, guys.